everybody, what's going on? I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching the Sit Down. Tribeca TV Festival coming to New York. Cara, Cusumano, Liza, Domnitz. How are you guys?
Very good. How are you?
Nice to meet you. So as opposed to the film festival, this is a little shorter in terms of the prep, but it's still a big deal. Lots of TV shows going on. So what's it all been like the last couple months for you guys?
Yeah, so this is inspired by the enthusiasm and the great stuff that's going on around TV that we've been doing at the film festival for years. We started this new event. It's now in its third year and purely focused on TV. So we go for 4 days. We have, I think, 15, 16 different new shows that are premiering. Some are season premieres, some are all new series that no one's seen before, and all of them are followed by a panel conversation with the cast and the creators. So it's a really nice opportunity for audiences to discover what's coming up or to kind of celebrate some of their favorites with the real creators in person.
That's awesome. So Liza, what do you remember from year one compared to now?
Year one, I think, was a little run and gun for us because we sort of decided we were going to do the festival sort of at the last minute, but it ended up being hugely successful, which is why we're in our year three. Our first year, we had sort of a surprise screening of the reboot of Will and Grace.
Oh yeah, that's right, that's right.
And like a whole bunch of really interesting shows from a really wide breadth of networks, and it sort of just teed us up to continue. We've had TV as part of the main festival for many years. We made it sort of an official selection about 4 or 5 years ago. And so what we're doing with this TV festival is we're sort of using that as the model. So in the main festival, we premiere new series, like Cara said, and new seasons of shows, do special events around TV, and then always have a conversation afterwards with cast and creative team. So we decided to take that sort of model from the main festival and make it its own mini festival. Since there is such a plethora of TV out there, it's not an easy, I mean, it's not a hard thing to, you know, fill with amazing projects.
No, definitely not. And just looking at what you guys have, I mean, we can go 25 Years of Friends. We can go there. We can go with some of the new stuff for Apple. So what's it like for you guys to actually pick the shows, say like, all right, we want to fit this in and maybe we can't do this. How does that go down?
Well, I think we come at it first and foremost as fans of TV. What are the things we enjoyed? What are the things we want to see more of? That makes it really easy. We tried to create a space for all the different kinds of shows that are being created right now. There's there's docu-series. We have Leavenworth, which is a true crime kind of military set expose story. We have Hip Hop Songs That Shook America, that is a deep dive into the creation and impact of individual songs. And then we have comedies. We have Bless This Mess Season 2. Lake Bell and Dex Shepard will be here to talk about that. We have some kind of spooky horror stuff. Evil, the new series, CBS series, is really fun and kind of has an X-Files vibe to it. So we just know that there's so many different audiences out there that love TV, and we wanted to be sure there was something for everybody.
Definitely. And then you guys have a few people coming through as well. James Spader, Hasan Minhaj. How does it go in terms of getting those people involved?
So we have a really successful program in our main festival called Tribeca Talks, where we take sort of luminaries from the entertainment world, whether it be film or TV, and we pair them with someone in conversation. So we decided to sprinkle a little of that in the TV festival. This year we have James Spader, who is amazing and has such an incredible career, as well as Hasan Minhaj will be in conversation with the TBD person that we're still to announce. And it's just a really good opportunity just to learn more about these people and go through their career and sort of learn the ins and outs and what you may not know, ask questions. They're really popular events for us, and we're excited to be able to do it in the TV world as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like this fall will be really exciting, given Apple, like you guys have dealt with Hulu, you guys have dealt with all these different streaming services, but Apple is kind of this giant unknown we don't really know about. So I know you guys have one of those shows. So what should we expect with Dickinson?
Yeah.
Dickinson is incredibly fun. It's sort of a riff on the Emily Dickinson story. It's starring Haley Steinfeld, and it's a contemporary look at her life and her struggles as a young woman who just wants to be a poet and is being challenged to marry by her family. Her mother is played by Jane Krakowski, who's hilarious. Yep. It's fantastic, and we're really honored that we get to be one of the first to show an Apple TV show. And Haley will be here, Jane Krakowski, the creator of the show. So it's definitely not one to miss.
Yeah.
And that has been one of the fun parts about programming TV over the past few years, because this question of what is TV anymore, as Amazon and Netflix and Hulu and now Apple Plus and all these other new services kind of come into the marketplace, we've chosen to say that it's not so much about about the size of the screen, it's about the format of the program. So these are episodic storytelling events, and we're showing them on a big screen. And it's been really cool to kind of be able to curate that and support that and discover that as it's emerging.
And I feel like something else really cool about this is that it's very much uniquely New York, right? It could be done in LA, but it wouldn't be the same thing. So what does it mean to you guys to have it here in New York and all the people associated there?
I think it means that we have access to a lot of incredible, whether it be actors or industry members, critics to come and interview these people. But also it's an opportunity to showcase projects that take place in New York. We inevitably have a lot of them, and this year is no different. We have Katie Keene, which is sort of a spin-off of Riverdale. It's starring Lucy Hale. It's incredibly fun, poppy, really just sort of a mixture of Sex and the City and Riverdale together, and takes place in the streets of New York and is fantastic. Let's see, what other New York stories? We have Godfather of Harlem, which which is starring Forrest Whitaker, and he plays the infamous sort of mob boss in Harlem in the 1950s and 60s. He gives an incredible performance, and the set design, the sort of feel of New York in those days, Harlem in those days, is pretty fantastic. So we sort of get to see New York in all these different times.
And I think it's all about the audience too. You know, Tribeca is an event that was really founded so much about the community and bringing people together and the power of storytelling to unite communities. And TV is an interesting phenomenon because its community is by definition kind of diffuse, dispersed. You watch it at home by yourself. So being able to bring people together, specifically New Yorkers together, to experience their favorite shows together and together with the cast and the creators is just such a special, unique moment that I don't think exists anywhere else.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about how much TV has transformed, and like thinking about Friends 25 years later, that people are now streaming it on Netflix. Like, it's pretty wild that a whole new generation is getting in that way after, like, this was NBC's bread and butter for so many years. So I'm sure for you guys it's pretty fascinating to see the evolution of TV.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a big part of the conversation we have with the executive producers when they come to talk about it, is the legacy of that show and how watching it now is different from watching it then or making it then, and people who are even just discovering it today.
Totally. So what are you guys watching? Because, like, listen, there's a ton of stuff out there. You guys are in TV, you're focusing on it. What are a few, like, under the radar shows you're checking out right now?
That are not in the TV festival?
Yeah, they're not. They can be, maybe they're not. Maybe you just are down to share some information about what you like right now. What do you think?
I think that we often get obsessed with the shows that we end up premiering at the festival. So I know that both of us were huge fans of Chernobyl, which we world premiered at the main festival from HBO.
Yeah.
Incredibly intense and moving and informative. So that was like my early summer obsession. Once we got finished with the main festival, I sort of dove in.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I've been trying to catch up on some classic, because we miss a lot of stuff during the season that we're programming the film festival. We're all consumed with watching submissions. So I finally watched Fleabag just this summer, which is incredible and I love. And I'm actually weirdly catching up on Parks and Rec, which I never watched before, and now I'm binging like crazy on Netflix.
I went back and watched the whole thing with my fiance. It's such a good watch.
It's just so wholesome.
And the way that it grows too, because that's the other thing. Remember, like, NBC Thursday nights, it was like The Office, Parks and Rec, 30 Rock, and again, having legs all these years later, like, it's a cool thing that you can just jump into that whenever you really feel like it. You know?
It's fun because we're seeing stuff that, like, we used to watch when we were teenagers and younger, now come back in a different form. You know, like you said, we're having this conversation with the executive producers of Friends, so we get to sort of harken back to that time. There's also a sort of reimagining of Party of Five that we're having a sneak preview at the festival. That is a show that I watched in the 90s when I was a teenager, and now it's been sort of contemporized. It's about, you know, it's the same plot in that there is a group of children that sort of have to fend for themselves, a family. But in this version, it's because their parents have been deported. So it's a really interesting take on the story, incredibly moving. And so we're going to be doing a sneak preview of that show. And it also kicks off National Hispanic Heritage Month on the weekend that we're going to sneak the show. So it's incredibly important.
Yeah.
And there's one more to the sort of remake, the contemporization of First Wives Club. Kind of another nostalgic moment of everything that's old is new again. That amazing film that we loved has now been reimagined as a modern story about 3 single women today, or women going through a divorce today. So that'll be really fun too.
We got a lot of good stuff here.
It's fun, yeah.
So this is year 3. Can you guys give me an example of, like, one of the first 2 years where you guys premiered something and you were like, oh, this became a huge thing, and we were kind of like on the forefront fun of it? Does anything pop out?
Yeah, I mean, the big example is the Handmaid's Tale, which world premiered at Tribeca, and of course became such a phenomenon. And
Unbelievable show.
It's such a surreal thing to think back of, like, someone emailed us a link to this show, and, you know, we watched it and loved it, and just that kind of energy within our programming committee that could translate into something, into a totally international, worldwide phenomenon. So that was great. Liza mentioned Chernobyl that we're rooting for at the Emmys.
Yeah.
We premiered The Boys from Amazon this year. That's incredible, and we've enjoyed continuing to watch.
So it's crazy. It's literally just like, hey, email to the show, and then if you guys are down for it and you think it's going to be good, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we always keep an eye on shows that are having anniversaries of some sort, because we really like to do that too when the opportunity presents itself. Yeah. At last year's TV Festival, we did sort of a celebration of Law and Order SVU, and we had the cast and Dick Wolf, the creator, and the fans were incredibly excited to come out and
think about how many shows Dick Wolf has done, even like FBI on CBS here, so it's like all these different iterations of his shows.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for like the general New Yorker who maybe not be into the whole TV scene, like what are they getting out of it? What's the pitch to them to kind of get them to come down? Because like this is cool for insiders. People are really into TV, but like people who have looking for a fun thing on a weekend, what's the pitch to them?
You know, I think that TV can feel a little overwhelming if you're you don't feel super plugged in. There's so much out there, so much of it is good. How do I know where to start? Right. So we've tried to kind of like take that work out of it for people. We've watched everything. We've decided this is what,
boiled it down.
Yeah, this is the value that I think curation can bring to the landscape right now, because there is so much, and it is a lot at a really high quality. So so my hope is that someone who maybe wants to start a new series can take a chance on something like Godfather of Harlem, like Evil, some of these new shows that are about to launch, and maybe find their next TV obsession.
And they'll be the first to have seen it, and they'll then be able to say that, you know, they were in the room for the first time, that something screened with the cast, with the creative team, and hearing, you know, about it for the first time, and can brag.
Yeah, totally. It's like this two-part thing, because it's like there's obviously the algorithm with all your streaming services, but then word of mouth is still such a big thing. Like we'll be here in the office and be like, hey, did you see Chernobyl? Did you watch this show? And it's like, oh, I'm going to start adding this up. So same sort of thing. And like even in a digital world, like word of mouth seems to be a huge thing still, which is cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Why don't you tell everybody when they can check it all out?
September 12th to 15th. Tickets on sale now. TribecaFilm.com/TV Festival.
Good deal. Cara, Liza, I'm DJ. See you next time here on The Sit Down.